So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you what components are and what props are and how we can use them with each other, and also be giving you an example. So let's get started. So what is a component? Components are the building blocks of a React application. They accept inputs, which are known as props, and return a React element describing what should appear on the screen. Okay, so basically it's saying that components are like the building blocks of the React application, okay? And they take in props which end up returning different React elements. Basically, you can have something like JSX being returned to you or other components being returned to you. And depending on what is returned in your component, that will be rendered to the screen. So what are props? Props are short for properties, okay? Props are inputs passed to the component, allowing them to be dynamic and reusable. They can be of any data type, which is true: string, numbers, objects, functions. Passing props. Props are passed to a component similar to HTML attributes, which is also true because HTML attributes, if you've seen, like in a div, we have a class attribute, we write in class, or in input fields, we write in something like type, which takes in other things like email, text, etc. So those properties or props are similar to attributes in HTML. Okay, so a component usually with props looks like this. A prop can also be any name that you want, and it can take in any value that you want. Okay, and this is an object. It can also be a string, a number, or whatever else you want. So a prop takes in inputs, which basically is like a value that it takes in. When to use components and props, right? So let's say you have a home page, right? So it's UI elements, logic encapsulation, and separation of code. So basically what this is the UI elements is basically, let's say you have a home page and you have a nav bar inside of it. That nav bar can be a different component, or in this case, like I've written here, product cards. That's also a thing. Like if you have products, you can create a product card component and then use a map to make it reusable. So logic encapsulation, when you need to encapsulate logic related to a specific piece of the UI. So like I said, product card is actually an example of that, which, let's say you need to show multiple products, like 6 products for example, and each one would have an image, a name, and a price. Instead of writing the HTML code each and every time, you could separate that into a different component and then just show that. You could put in the component into a map and then just run that. It would render that component depending on the number of products that you have inside of your map method. So separation of code, which is basically what I just said. Like if you have a product card, you can just separate that whole logic rather than keep it in your page. So yeah, like a hero section could be one, a contact section could be another one, and a product section. So you get the idea at this point. So when to use props? Passing data, like I said, if you have title, price, a link to a page, you can just pass in that data through a prop, like an object for example, and then that would just get passed to the child component. Component configuration, when you need to configure a component's behavior or opinions based on the external data or the user interaction. Like I said, the product information that you pass in, you can update the component based on the data that has been passed. Okay, so you can manipulate the data of the component depending on what data you passed in. So let's do an example now. Actually, let me just take all of this, put this here. So right now we have a component which we are calling component and prop, and this is not a good name. I'm just using this for the tutorial because I wanted to keep everything in one place. So we have a component. This is known as a parent component, and this right here inside of this is a child component. Now to this child component, what I'm doing is I've created a variable that is a constant, and I have an object, and I'm passing this object through the prop that is called user, and I can call this whatever I want, user data or whatever else. And I've created a separate folder called components, and I've created my child component, which is this. Now, to get props, what you do is in this, like even in here, you have this empty braces, right? So in this, you would put in a keyword that's called prop. Since this is an object, okay, this will return dot user dot name, which is the name of the prop. And then since an object is being passed in, this is the name. But if this, let's say, was an array, right? If this was an array, then I would be using something like user and then 0 or 1 depending on whatever I'm trying to get. So this is how I'm getting the object. Prop keyword, then dot user, that is the name of our prop, and then name. Because this is an object, I can just access it using this, and then the age. If you look here, this is a card and I'm just using Bootstrap, so we are getting the data, right? So let me just change this, for example, and you see it changed from 30 to 20. So that's how we are getting the data. And let me just give you a bonus tip here. This is a very poor way to access your data. So what you can actually do here is two things, and this depends on your situation. So const, okay, you say is equal to props, which is this, okay, and then you can do two things. You can do user, you can do it like this, which is one way. As you can see, just 30 again. As you can see, it's working. And let me just turn this back to 20. So this is one way. Another one is to do this. So this is another way of getting the data by destructuring it. So let's look at the third way of doing this, which is since the props has the user, right? So instead of doing this, what you can just do is directly destructure the prop right in this, and then just get access using this. So save. Let's change this to 30. Here it is, 30. So this is working, and these were the three ways that you can get access to props. Let's do another thing, that is accessing the children of a component, which is basically this, that this was a self-closing component, right? So instead of this, I'm gonna do this because sometimes you're gonna see this, and I'm just gonna pass in something really simple. So let's do something simple here. Let's put in a paragraph, and let's say he's saying something, right? Let's say he's saying, I am a developer. And how would you access this, right? This is a child. So what you do here is, if you have something destructured, it's fine. What you do here is just use something that is inside your props already, that is children, okay? And here I'm just gonna do children, okay? Let's save this. As you can see, this is added. And just to be sure, let's do as you can see, styling is applied. That's how you pass in this type of data into your prop as children. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, because when we get to 1,000 subscribers, we will be making full stack tutorials. I hope you like this. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.